The sandstorm hit like a freight train barreling through hell, whipping up dust devils that tore at Wyatt Harlan's flesh and blinded him to the world. The young ranch hand, fresh from the cattle trails of Texas, had pushed his crew too hard that day, chasing a herd across the sun-baked badlands of New Mexico territory. But nature don't care about a man's plans. Lightning cracked the sky, thunder roared like cannon fire, and in the chaos, Wyatt's horse bucked him off, sending him tumbling into a ravine. By the time he clawed his way out, his crew was gone, swallowed by the storm. Alone, with nothing but his six-shooter and a canteen running dry, Wyatt staggered into the unknown. The wind howling like the ghosts of outlaws long hanged, parched and delirious after 2 days of wandering. Wyatt crested a rocky ridge and spotted a glimmer of water, a hidden oasis tucked in a narrow canyon fed by an underground spring. He dropped to his knees, gulping the cool liquid like a man reborn. But as he lifted his head, a shadow fell across him. There stood Lita, a Navajo woman with eyes like polished obsidian, her long black hair whipping in the fading wind. She'd fled her clan's forced betrothal to a cruel elder, her spirit scarred by the betrayal of kin who'd turned a blind eye to her pleas. Knife in hand, she crouched low, ready to strike at this intruder from the white man's world. Wyatt froze, his hand inching toward his holster. "Easy now, ma'am," he drawled, his Texas twang rough but steady. "I ain't here to cause trouble, just a fella trying to stay alive." Lita's grip tightened on the blade, her heart pounding with the echoes of violence she'd escaped. But the storm wasn't done with them yet. It surged back with renewed fury, driving sheets of rain and hail that turned the canyon into a slippery trap. With no choice, they retreated to a shallow cave carved into the cliffside, the entrance barely wide enough for two. Huddled in the dim light, they eyed each other like cornered wolves. Wyatt offered a strip of jerky from his saddlebag, but Lita shook her head, her silence a wall thicker than the stone around them. As the night deepened, a low rumble echoed through the canyon, a flash flood roaring down from the mountains, sealing the cave mouth with a wall of churning water and debris. Panic clawed at Wyatt's chest as the water rose to their knees, then waists. "We gotta climb higher," he shouted over the roar. Lita, drawing on memories of her people's survival tales, spotted a ledge above and boosted him up first, her strength surprising him. He pulled her after, their hands clasping in a desperate grip that sparked something unspoken. For hours, they clung to that perch, the floodwaters lapping at their feet, forcing them to share warmth and stories in whispers. Wyatt spoke of his orphaned youth on dusty ranches, the loneliness that had hardened him. Lita haltingly revealed the arranged marriage that had shattered her trust in her own blood. When the waters receded at dawn, Wyatt faced a gut-wrenching choice: head back to the trails in his old life, or stick with this stranger who stirred feelings he couldn't name. The world out there, the settlers' prejudice and the tribe's vendettas would brand their pairing as forbidden. But as they emerged into the sunlight, Lita bandaged a gash on his arm with strips from her shawl, her touch gentle yet firm. "We go together," she said, her voice like the wind through mesquite. For now, their trek through Navajo territory deepened the pull between them, each step a battle against the ghosts of their pasts. Wyatt's easy grin hid the weight of a family lost to frontier feuds. Lita's quiet resolve masked the ache of rejection. Yet, in shared silences by campfires, they found solace, her teaching him to read the stars for direction, him showing her how to handle a revolver's kick. Danger struck without warning as they crossed a dry wash. A band of renegade bandits, deserters from the Union Army, ambushed them from the rocks. Bullets whizzed like angry hornets, one grazing Wyatt's shoulder and sending blood soaking his shirt. "Get down," he bellowed, shoving Lita behind a boulder. In a blur of grit and gunpowder, Wyatt stood tall, his colt barking in rhythmic fury, bam bam bam, dropping two outlaws in a spray of dust. The leader, a scar-faced brute with a bounty on his head, charged like a bull, knife drawn. Wyatt sidestepped his boot, slamming into the man's knee with a crack, then finished him with a point-blank shot that echoed through the canyon. Lita, not one to cower, fired Wyatt's spare pistol, her aim true enough to wing another. As the survivors fled, Wyatt slumped against the rock, pain etching his rugged face. "You fight like a demon," he grunted, admiration cutting through the haze. Lita tended his wound with poultices of yucca root and sage, her fingers tracing the scar tissue of old battles on his skin. In that intimate quiet, under a blanket of stars, their eyes met, and for the first time, vulnerability cracked their armor. But whispers of doubt lingered. Who was the shadowy figure Wyatt had glimpsed trailing them from afar? A scout from her clan, or something worse? Wyatt's fever spiked days later, the wound festering in the brutal heat. Delirium set in, visions of his dead brother haunting him. Lita faced her own trial: abandon him to save herself, or risk everything. She chose the latter, dragging him to a sacred arroyo where healing waters flowed. As she bathed his brow, he murmured confessions of a life spent running from connection. Her resolve hardened. This white man, with his quiet strength, saw her not as a savage, but as an equal. An unlikely savior appeared, an old prospector named Elias, grizzled and one-eyed, who stumbled upon them with a mule laden with supplies. "Seen worse in the goldfields," he rasped, sharing whiskey and bandages, but his warning chilled them. Words out, a bounty on your head, boy. Someone from your past sold YA out. Wyatt's jaw tightened. Could it be his former trail boss, jealous of his independence? The mystery gnawed at him, pulling him into paranoia as they pressed on. In a dusty trading post on the edge of settler land, tension boiled over. Lita revealed her scars, literal and figurative, from a beating by her betrothed's kin. They called it tradition, she whispered, tears tracing her cheeks. Wyatt pulled her close, his rough hands gentle. Ain't no tradition worth that, he vowed. But as they left, a posse of bounty hunters cornered them in the street at high noon. The sun beat down like Judgment Day. You're coming with us, Harlan, the leader snarled, hand on his gun. The standoff was pure frontier fury. Wyatt drew first, his draw lightning-fast bullets flying in a chaotic symphony. One hunter dropped with a gut shot, screaming. Another clipped Wyatt's hat, drawing blood from his scalp. Lita, hidden in an alley, flanked them, her knife flashing as she tackled a shooter from behind. Wyatt charged the last man, tackling him into a horse trough, fists pounding until the outlaw went limp. Breath ragged, Wyatt pulled Lita from the fray, their escape on stolen horses a whirlwind of dust and adrenaline. They forged a pact under a lightning-struck juniper. Leave the old world behind. Carve out a hidden life in a verdant basin ringed by red rock spires. But peace was fleeting. One moonless night, riders approached their camp, shadowy figures with rifles glinting. Wyatt woke to the click of a hammer, heart slamming. Hide, he hissed, to Lita. The intruders circled, voices murmuring of betrayal. Was Elias the Judas? The tension stretched like a taut wire. Every rustle, a potential death knell. Betrayal hit close. The lead rider was Wyatt's estranged uncle, a cattle baron who'd framed him for rustling to claim his inheritance. Family don't mean squat when there's gold involved, the old man sneered. A brutal melee erupted, Wyatt wrestling his kin in the dirt, punches landing with bone-crunching force, while Lita fended off henchmen with improvised weapons. In the chaos, a stray bullet struck Lita's side, blood blooming like a desert rose. Wyatt's roar was primal. He disarmed his uncle with a savage headbutt, tying him for the law. As Lita hovered near death, Wyatt nursed her in their basin hideaway, his world narrowing to her labored breaths. Don't you dare leave me, he growled, tears unspoken. Her recovery was a miracle of will, their bond forging unbreakable in the fire of near. More perils tested them. A rattlesnake den they stumbled into during a hunt, venom coursing through Wyatt's leg until Lita sucked it out and applied ancient remedies. A cliffside collapsed during a monsoon, forcing them to dangle from roots, fingers slipping, and a raid by rogue Navajo warriors seeking vengeance for old settler wrongs, ending in a desperate chase through thorn-choked gullies. In a stolen dawn, by a ancient prayer rock etched with Navajo symbols, Lita confessed her love. You showed me kindness when the world offered none, she said, her voice soft as sagebrush. Wyatt, rough edges softened, kissed her fiercely. And you gave me a reason to fight for more than survival. Their final trial came in a ghost town overrun by the uncle's remnants, a trap laced with dynamite and deceit. Explosions rocked the ruins as Wyatt and Lita fought back to back, his gun blazing in a hail of lead, her arrows fashioned from scavenged wood finding marks with deadly precision. The leader, a hulking gunslinger, squared off with Wyatt in the saloon's shattered doorway. This ends now, Wyatt thundered, dodging a shotgun blast that splintered wood. He rolled, fired from the hip bat, hitting true. The villain crumpled, the threat crumbling with him. Gravely wounded, Lita clung to life as Wyatt carried her to safety. Stay or go, he whispered, the choice tearing him. She squeezed his hand. Together, they fled to the basin, rebuilding amid the wild beauty-raising crops, tending livestock, and eventually children who bridged worlds. Years on, under that prayer rock, they wed in a rite blending Navajo chants and settler vows. Their legacy, a family thriving against odds, proving love heals deeper than any scar. In the desert's embrace, Wyatt and Lita found not just survival but rebirth, a testament that from betrayal's ashes, connection blooms eternal, inspiring all who hear their tale to chase horizons of hope.